Hey y'all, it's Monique Waddell here with Money Academy. I want to welcome you back to the kickoff of the relaunch of Money Academy here in USAG Rheinland-Pfalz. You know that we're your trusted source for all things financial readiness in the local area. And we're doing something a little bit different. We wanted to actually start demonstrating how we actually work with clients so that you understand that our goal really is to empower you to reach your financial goals and ensure soldiers and families are financially ready for the mission. So let's get started. So initially, when we have an intake with a client, we will talk to them about who they are, their experiences, and start working out what are their actual goals and their targets. And in this example, we have a client who is an E5 with 6 years of experience. They have 2 dependents, and they currently live in the Baumholder area. Now, with that information, we know that they have certain entitlements when it comes to their pay. They, of course, have their base pay. They have their overseas housing allowance with utilities. They have their COLA and their BAS. And now eventually we'll talk about where all those things actually play into when it comes to your income. But before we actually even get into that and understand what those numbers are for this client, we actually want to take a step back and look at the bigger picture and start talking about something called net worth. And if you remember, we talked about net worth, and net worth is essentially all of your assets minus all of your liabilities, meaning everything that you own minus everything that you owe. Now, you may have heard the term asset allocation. Really, what that means is with all of these various buckets of ways in which you can hold value, it's what is the mixture that holds for the monetary value of each one of these particular categories. So for this client, they actually have about 12,000 in their TSP, and then their spouse has 3,000 in their 401k. For savings, they have about $2,000, and then actual cash on hand is about $730. So then in their equity, they have $17,730. Their equity that they have, they don't have any real estate. But if they sold their car today, they would expect to get about $24,000. And if they needed to, for all the items that they own in their household, they own about 14,000. So 3 plus 14 is 38,000. So we'll take 38,000 plus 17,730. That means that their assets are worth 55,730, right? Now we're going to take their liability. So this client has about 4,600 in credit card debt. And then they also happen to have just a car loan for $17,000. So that means that their overall liabilities are what they owe, and they don't owe a mortgage. They owe $21,600 in debt. So we take that number of how much they have for assets, subtract their liabilities, and that means that they currently have a net worth of $34,130. And what that gives us is a starting point where they actually are on their financial journey. This is not a reflection of whether or not they're smart or kind or decent, but it gives us an idea about where we're going to be going and what they actually are desiring to do. Now, after we've actually done that brief review of their net worth, again, we'll go back to talking about that income that we talked about. Again, an E5, very clear. An E5 with 6 years of service. They have their base pay, which is about $3,600. They have their overseas housing allowance, which is about $1,100. Their utilities is about another $1,100. And then their COLA is about $220, and their VAS is about $460. That means their gross pay, meaning everything prior to deductions, is about $6,500 that they earn based on their years of service and their rank. Now, understanding that there are expenses that come out, like their SGLI, taxes, and this client actually contributes to their TSP, their thrift savings plan. They've upped their rate to 22%, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But their net pay, when it's all said and done, is actually $5,196.08. So their income is $5,196.08. Now, in dealing with this client, we realize that they have a variety of expenses. Obviously, living in a new country, you have that. So in their expenses, they've got rent, utilities, they've got car payment, they've got gas, internet, they've got a phone, cell phones, they've got credit card payment, they've got food, subscriptions. They do built-in giving, and then fund money for the family, right? So in thinking about their actual income, they have expenses that we're going to account for as well. So their rent is 1,100 euro, and that roughly converts to $1,193 and some change. Their utilities, $216.73. Their car is $419.26. Gas is $173.52. Their internet is $190.39. Their phone is $102.15. Oh, this is their insurance. Yeah. Insurance. And let's see. Their internet is actually $55. Their fund money is about $300 for the family. They give $100 a month to their charity of choice. Their subscriptions are $117.22. They spend about $525 on food, and their credit card payment is $79.61. Okay, so when we add all these numbers together, make sure I'm accounting for everything. Yes, we add all these numbers together, their expenses are $3,736.88. Okay, so every month they have a surplus of $1,459.20. Now, here's the thing that's exciting about this. The fact that they have this surplus in their living expenses is fantastic. That's not always everyone's experience. Now, as a counselor here, I would say that there's a couple of things that do concern me. Is they're paying the minimum on their credit card. And so I'd actually take some time to show them that if they only pay the minimum for their credit card to actually be able to pay it off, it would take them 8 years and 8 months to actually pay this credit card off. And because they came in and said, hey, we want to figure out some strategies to eliminate this credit card debt, but we also want to travel to Mallorca for next summer. It's going to be a big trip that we're looking forward to as a family. Well, I absolutely want to assist them in reaching those particular goals and understanding because they have the surplus, it's absolutely possible for them. So what I would encourage them to do, because they said that paying off their credit card is the most important thing, is we would take the approach that we would take to pay off that 4,600 credit card. So our goal is one, pay off credit card, 2, travel to Mallorca, right? Okay, so for them to be able to do that, they need to have some money put away. And we talked about that net worth already, and earlier we discovered that they had about $2,000 in their savings currently. In conversations, we were able to uncover that the reason that their credit card balance got up to $4,600 was because they had to pay for some emergencies. And so to mitigate those emergencies, we're going to try to plus up their actual savings as well, along with saving to travel and to paying off their credit card. So here's the advice that I offered to this client. First, I would encourage them, if their number one goal is to pay off that credit card as soon as possible, to take the $79, take that surplus that they have of $14.59.20, continue paying their bills as the other bills as they would, but then take that $14.59.20 and put $1,000 extra to the credit card. So that would mean that they're paying $1,079.61, and they would do that for 4 months. And then on the 5th month, they would pay $439.69, and their credit card would be paid off within 5 months. And that is eliminated. But we also need to prioritize them showing up their savings account as well as saving for their trip to Mallorca. So I would advise them to increase their emergency savings by taking, and that would leave $459.20. I want them every single month to build a habit of putting in emergency savings, right? And so in a year, that emergency savings would take their $2,000 that's currently in their savings all the way up an additional $2,700. So they would have a total of $4,700 in their emergency savings, right? So then that would leave you with $234.20 of that surplus money. And that's the money that you would use to go to Mallorca money. And that money, if you save it between now and summer of 2025, that would have this family having available to spend $2,810.40 for them to cash flow their trip to Mallorca. And again, they are doing all the things that we encourage our clients to do with their contributions to TSP. They're paying themselves first. They are living below their means. They're also saving for emergencies, eliminating debt, and enjoying life and having fun and cash flowing those particular activities. Again, this is just an example of one way that we work with our clients. We hope that you see that we are available here within Kleber Kaserne or at Baumholder Smith Barracks, where we can talk one-on-one with you or actually teach your unit how to actually do this as well. Getting down to the penny and to the nitty-gritty of what it means to save for and create the life that you want financially. Ultimately, our goal is to ensure that soldiers and families are financially ready for the mission. Thanks so much for joining us for Money Academy. We look forward to seeing you guys soon. Take care and be well. Bye, y'all.